Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1999 Dodge Durango SLT. Up front is a 5.9 liter V8, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Durango for 3 reasons. First of all, I haven't done a first gen Durango here on the channel, so I'm excited to check that off. Second reason, this is a very clean example of a first generation Durango with only 87,000 miles on it, and that is becoming very, very hard to find. But the third reason I'm so excited is because I grew up driving a 1998 Dodge Ram 1500 with the same engine, and so the similarities are so plentiful in this car. It's giving me so much nostalgia already, and I'm excited to share that with you today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their Durango. You'll hear more about them at the end of the video, but if you're in the Chicagoland area and in need of a used car, they should be your #1 stop. But let's get back to that 5.9 liter V8 known as the Magnum V8. There were a couple Magnum engines, but this is the 5.9 liter Magnum 360 cubic inch V8 that I grew up driving. I love this engine so dearly, mostly for nostalgia's sake. And I will say, my Ram that I had consumed oil like it was its job. About every fill up of the gas tank, I was putting close to a half a quart into the engine, which was every 200 miles, 300 miles. However, that engine never gave up. Even when we scoped cylinder 7 and 8 and they looked like they were just full of oil, they were glistening in the light, that engine never stopped working. It might not be efficient, but man, is it a tank, and I'm happy to see that here in the Durango. You could also get a 5.2 liter Magnum V8, as well as there was a V6 offering. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic, and you are going to run into trouble with this transmission. Dodge in this era did not have very solid transmissions, even in the pickup trucks and the Durango, and so you might get away with it, but probably at the end of the day, you might have some slippage issues, and I'm happy to report that this current one does not. Last but not least, the Durango is 4-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. So how does it feel to drive the Dodge Durango? Well, I'll be honest with you, it rides a lot harsher than I thought it was going to. This is built off of the Dodge Dakota platform, which if anyone has a Dodge Dakota, I would love to review that as well. I've never done one here on the channel. But I had in my mind that it would be a little bit cushier than that, and it really isn't. The nice thing about that suspension is that it can actually tow up to 7,500 pounds, which is amazing. But this is very truck-like, just so you're aware. Steering is a little heavy, but to be expected. Visibility out the front is great. Visibility out the rear isn't amazing, but again, it's an SUV, and I don't think any SUV has amazing rearward visibility. And overall, I'm just happy to be driving this car. It's just not like a top-notch driving experience, if that makes sense. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior and hear about my nostalgia absolutely oozing in this video. Well, in front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and battery voltage, followed by the tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer, oil pressure, and fuel. These are the exact gauges found in the 1500 pickup truck, and I love them so much. They light up green at night, and I just love that ambiance feel. On the steering wheel on the left and right, we have the cruise control options. Lovely to see that here in 1999. And the overall steering wheel is fine. Nothing new about it. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent, along with our headlight switches and dome light switch. And moving out of the door, we have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get 2 climate vents along with our climate controls off to the left. Fan speed up at the top, where to send it in the middle, temperature down at the bottom. Off to the right, we have the standard factory CD player Dodge radio. I remember stuffing James Bond CDs into this as a kid, so it's a very welcome sight here. I love the bass, mid, and treble adjustments, and it does have a cassette player, so it sort of walked in both worlds at the time, offering CD alongside cassette. Down below, we have a little panel for the rear wiper, rear defrost, a power outlet, and our cigarette lighter. I burned myself many a times on this cigarette lighter as a kid. And off to the right, we have our ashtray that you can pull out to dump. Moving down onto the floor, we have a little cubby down there just for any knickknacks or whatever. But off to the left, we do have our 4-wheel drive setting. So this is manual 4-wheel drive. It's not push button. And I really, really like that. I've always preferred the stick, and that's nice to see that here in the Durango. Moving up the center console, however, we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 1999 Dodge Durango. And although it fails in the front two, there's a larger third cup holder that it does, in fact, pass the big friggin' bottle test. One of the oldest vehicles to do it, but its rival, the GMC Jimmy and Chevy Blazer, also pass in this era. So stiff competition in the big friggin' bottle world. Then I get an openable center console with the coin holders. I used to love playing with these. Center console's actually kind of small, but it does have some slots to fit your CDs for that CD player that we mentioned. Moving up onto the seats. The seats are a mix of leather and what appears to be some type of either Alcantara or interesting material up at the top, and you can see the Dodge logo stitched into the seats. I absolutely love the look of it. I think it actually looks pretty classy, and I am a big fan. However, speaking of seats, we have 2 more rows of seating. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the second row of the 1999 Dodge Durango, and my knees are touching the seat in front of me. Headroom is amazing. This almost has like a bubble top, which is really, really nice. Headroom is fantastic. Just legroom isn't amazing, and I don't seem to have any adjustments when it comes to the bench. I can fold down and use this part of the seat as a center console. It has 2 cup holders here. I also get 2 cup holders down here and 2 climate vents. So really, really nice stuff. But I always forget that this generation of Durango could have 3 rows of seating. And so I'm going to try to get into the 3rd row. I don't know how pretty this is going to be. All right, I'm in the 3rd row, arguably not super comfortably. Let me get over here. The bottom of this seat is just not very long. It's maybe like a foot long, so I feel like I'm holding on to the edge of a cliff with my buttocks. However, actually, now that I sort of spread out a little bit, I've gotten somewhat comfortable. I could make this work. I'm not super happy about it, and I think that they really compromised the 2nd row in order to squeeze a 3rd row, which I don't love. However, it can work. It could happen. So that's definitely nice to see. And I have a cup holder on each side along with a little tray. It's not the worst in the world, and I genuinely thought it was going to be, and it's not. So I guess that's a good thing to see. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk, because just looking now, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, it is very windy today, so we are going to be testing out how well this microphone wind deflector works. Anyway, around the back of the Durango, pull this up right here. And like I said, because of that 3rd row, we don't get a whole lot of cargo space. Now you can fold this row down, but in its standard position, not a whole lot. We do have these floor mats, of course. We can pull this up. We get a little bit more storage down there, which is lovely to see. And we get a 12-volt outlet right in the trunk. I always look for that in modern cars, but Dodge was doing that 25 years ago. Very, very cool to see around the back of the Durango. Big grab handles here. Bring it down. I wish it had an opening rear hatch. However, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if that's factory or not, so I'm not going to comment on that too much, but kind of an interesting little badge right there. Anyway, there it is. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I have always loved the look of the 1st generation Durango for multiple reasons. First of all, I grew up with a Ram. My childhood best friend had a Dakota, which had this same front end. And then my cousin, shout out to Colin, had 2 of these in high school. So some of my first motoring experiences without my parents were spent in a Durango like this. I remember my cousin Colin was a few years older than me, and so seeing him pull up in his own car was so incredibly strange to me as a kid. Wow, Colin can drive himself? That's amazing. And then when I was old enough to get my license, I felt the same way. And so this car has so much nostalgia for me. I don't think I can give an unbiased opinion on its looks, but if you ask me, I would say it looks pretty darn good. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a 1st generation Dodge Durango here on the Shooting Cars channel. Well, I love the experience. This car has been really fun to drive. It's been really fun to go back in time and feel what it was like. I'll split my final thoughts into two segments. First of all, let's talk about the Durango as a whole. This car was kind of an experiment from Dodge because the emerging SUV market was so unknown in the 1990s. This was developed throughout the mid-90s and released for the 1998 model year. SUVs of the past had always been pickup trucks with additional seats. Take a look at the Blazer. This is just a Chevy K10 that was shortened a little bit and given a top. Or, for instance, the Toyota 4Runner of the mid-80s was quite literally a Toyota pickup truck that was outfitted by the Winnebago company to have a back on it. So at this time, the early to mid-90s when this car was theorized, the family-owned SUV wasn't very common. And so this was new territory. This car was less offensive than the giant Ram Charger that came before it. This had softer lines. And this was something that you could park in your driveway or take to a school or take to work, and it didn't look like you just got done at the farm. And so to be driving this pivotal change in SUVs is super, super unique, and the main reason why I wanted to make this video. The other reason is my own personal nostalgia. This car smells on the inside like my old Ram used to do. When I turned the key and the chime turned on and the starter motor kicked in for the 5.9 liter, I was immediately brought back to my high school days, starting that Ram every single morning. I'm getting goosebumps now just talking about it because it was such a pivotal part of my life. In the last month, I had two friends mention to me how much they missed my white pickup truck from high school. It was such a part of my personality. And so to be driving this today, I feel like I've reclaimed part of my life. I've gotten to slip back into an old relationship. This is like mutually catching up with an ex-girlfriend, but not in a malicious way of just shaking hands and saying, you know what? We both made it out alive, and at times I wasn't sure we would. That's how it feels for me to be driving this Durango. Things have changed in the last several years. We got rid of that truck in 2018, but it has always held an important place in my heart, and this Durango brings me back to that. I love this car. I love it so, so much. It's such an important part of who I am, and for that, I was very excited to share with you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their 99 Durango. It's so clean. Their inventory is absolutely wonderful. They always have cool and interesting vehicles, as well as they have very affordable prices. This vehicle is currently listed for only $7,000, which I think is quite the deal for a vehicle like this. North Naperville Autos has been an amazing partner to have over the last several years. They're huge supporters of the channel, so please go check them out with the link in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for allowing me to blabber on about my childhood for a little too long. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. And I'm glad that you're here. Take care, guys.